Hey folks, I'm Nate Corcoran, so I'm the regional geologist for Northwest BC. Northwest BC, the region is the region that hosts the Golden Triangle. And so we are part of the BC Geological Survey. And so as stewards of the mineral and coal resources in the province, the BC Geological Survey has an important role in stimulating activity, exploration activity, attracting investment, and providing continuous research based on the 130 years of knowledge and experience gained from the Geological Survey. So the photo here is a photo from Goliath Resources Gold Digger Regional Property. So for my talk, I'm going to go through what a regional geologist does, kind of give you a peek in the window of a government geologist and how I relay what I learn on the ground up through the ministry and to the public. And then I'll kind of go into it in depth about what's happened in BC for mining for 2025, and then kind of go more in depth of the mineral production and the mineral exploration for northwestern BC, specifically in this talk more towards the Golden Triangle related projects. So there's 6 different regions with 5 different regional geologists. And so I'm based in Smithers, which is for the Northwest region. And we are part of what's called the Mineral Development Office. The regional geologists are part of the Mineral Development Office, which is a Vancouver-based portion of the BC Geological Survey. And we provide investment intelligence to the government and to global businesses and connect in the national and international investment community to the Geological Survey, and then also to the province's mineral resources. There's 6 different regions of BC, which have 5 different regional geologists. And so one of the main things that the BCGS Mineral Development Office does is coordinates their geoscience outputs, and we publish the annual Mining and Exploration BC publication, which is kind of a provincial overview of mineral exploration and mining for each year and what happens. I'll talk a bit more about that later. And so here, just on our BC map, this is where we see where the Golden Triangle is located in Northwest. And so, as part of a regional geologist, it's important for me to know the regional geology. So, what are the regional structures in the area? The large tectonic structure that kind of goes through the Northwest, the age relationships between the different rocks. And then so we take that regional geologic knowledge and the structures, and then we kind of zoom in and go through more of the local scale, which would be going to different mineral deposits and kind of more focused on the local features, geologic features at hand, and then kind of the mineral deposits and commodities that are associated with these local features or projects in the area. And so the main part of the Golden Triangle is mostly located in the tectonostratigraphic terrain known as the Stikenia terrain. One of the other important roles that a regional geologist has is to understand the land use for the different land uses for our region. And so we have the First Nations land use, the public land use, and then mineral exploration companies and prospectors. And so one of the ways we organize this and help the government with this is doing these things called mineral potential assessments or mineral land assessments. And it's basically an unbiased research that we do based on the geology, and we kind of include the prospectivity of the rock, of this geology in the ground, and then kind of understand the exploration history of these certain specific areas that the government might have in question, and kind of investigate what the amount of investment that has already gone in through mineral exploration or prospecting. And so that's just one of the ways that regional geologist acts as a technical, geologic liaison to both the government, the mineral exploration industry, First Nations, and the public. And so one of the ways we stay current on what's happening in our region is through like tracking and reporting the mineral exploration trends and the different mineral exploration projects and the mines that are currently active. And so we do this by watching their progress from doing technical documents that come out, or through tracking news releases that mineral exploration companies that work in the region would produce on a monthly basis. So in the Northwest, like I think for 2025, there's probably over several thousand press releases that would have been applicable to reading for mineral exploration projects in the region. Whether that's drill results or financings or things like that. And then so we kind of stay abreast to what each company's that's active in the region. And the photo here is just a photo from with visible silver from Dolly Varden's, one of their vein systems that has sulfides in banded quartz with visible silver. So one of our other major achievements for the year that we do is the BC Mineral and Coal Exploration Survey. So we send out and compile the data for this for all the active companies for the year in mineral exploration and for mining. And so this survey is kind of crucial for tracking activity levels in mineral exploration and mining for BC. The information we gather is used to highlight the importance of the mineral exploration industry. It helps with policy decisions within the government that help support the industry. And so we always ask that when entering data into the survey that you try to be as accurate as possible, because accurate expenditure totals and commodities that you're exploring for are definitely important aspect of what's needed to relay the trends and the health of mineral exploration within each specific region of the province. And so we're also trying to collaborate now with Natural Resources Canada, or NRCan, to make sure that the provincial BC data is more accurately portrayed on a federal level. And so one of the ways that we get out and understand what the geology is and what exploration projects are happening in our region is by doing field work in the summer months. And so we gain firsthand knowledge of what activity is happening in our region through different mineral exploration project site visits, or also helping out with BCGS initiatives, whether that'll be helping out with different mapping projects or visiting a site and taking rock samples for age dating for the other project geologists that are based in Victoria. And so that's always a very insightful thing to gain knowledge by going out into the field and mapping and seeing the rocks firsthand and kind of understanding the structures and how they temporally relate to each other. And so just some examples from that. This one here is from Goldstorm Metals. It's actually part of the Copernicus showing, which is in the Crown project in the Orion claims. And so here you have semi-massive sulfide that has had a sample run through it. Another one here is pyrite, pyrrhotite quartz veins that have been shown to host silver and gold for Scotty Gold as a blueberry vein. And then just another example, all from the Golden Triangle, is the nickel mineralized gabbros that occur in Nickel Mountain, which is part of the Garibaldi Resources E&L project. And so just some other field pictures from doing mapping. So here we have some recumbent folds within the Stuhini sediments, which is located on SK Mining's claims. And then to the right there, we have two geologists. They're mapping in what's potentially Eocene dike, which is kind of north of Kitsault, around the Goliath Resources and Dolly Varden claims, kind of just north of Kitsault area. So it's always good to get out in the field, especially when it's sunny like this, and to map the different features and see firsthand how complex the geology of the Golden Triangle really is. And so we also get out to several conferences, and we either give a presentation or submit posters to regional conferences like Roundup, KEG, Minerals North or Minerals South, Smithers Rock Talk, and others to help educate both the mineral exploration industry and also the public about different activity that happens for mining, mineral exploration in all the different regions of BC. And so that was just an example of the poster. And one of the other things that the BCGS is really proud of that we do, and are one of the only provinces in Canada that actually do this, is we produce an annual map every year of all the active mines and mineral exploration projects for that year. And so this map has everything on it from aggregate quarries to porphyry mines, any active metal mine, active coal mines, and then active exploration projects. And based on the commodity that these exploration projects have, they have the different symbols. And so we can see the Golden Triangle region clearly has a condensed number of exploration projects within the area. And if you looked carefully at the map, you'd be able to see that BC's for 2025 had several active mines this year. And so they actually had 11 metals mines and 7 coal mines. And then so 3 of those active mines are in the northwest, and then 2 in the north central. And so we have the Red Chris in the Golden Triangle. We have the Red Chris and porphyry system and Bruce Jack epithermal system. And then northwest we have Dome Mountain, which is a precious metal vein system. And so all of these mines in BC has actually equated to billions of dollars of production value in resources. So if we look more closely at that, we see that the forecast mine production value for 2025 is about $16.42 billion. And so BC is Canada's largest producer of copper and coal, and the only producer of molybdenum. And so if you look here at this pie chart, you can see that about 45% of BC's mining economics comes from copper, gold, silver, and molybdenum. And then about a little less than half this year from coal production. Kind of looking back over about the last 20 years of how the BC mine production has stacked up, we see 2022 has the highest on record, and then this year is pretty comparable to last year. Last year's estimate was about 16.5 billion, and so now we're at 16.42, and these project estimates were slightly lower in 2025, mainly based due to price decreases in coal, in metallurgical coal, but also you see that it remained pretty steady because of the higher gold and copper prices for 2025. And so zooming more in on the northwest region here in Smithers, like as I mentioned, within the Golden Triangle, we had 2 different mines. I should mention that the northwest region accounts for about 25% of the land area of BC. So for mine production within northwest BC in the Golden Triangle, we had 2 mines. We had Bruce Jack, and so Bruce Jack had 226,000 ounces of gold and 414,000 ounces of silver produced, based on the forecast from Q1 to Q3. And here's a picture of Bruce Jack's electrum ore, which contains gold and silver. And at Red Chris, we had over 90 million pounds of copper, 87,000, almost 88,000 ounces of gold, and 186,000 ounces of silver. And so between the copper and gold and silver at Red Chris and the copper and silver at Bruce Jack, the production value is estimated to be about $2.06 billion for just coming straight out of the Golden Triangle. And there's a picture of the main pit from Red Chris. You can't really find a mine without doing exploration. So we like to dig into the mineral exploration expenditures that happen each year and break it down through region. So I'll show you the statistics for Northwest BC, and this is over the last 23 years or so. And so you see the highest on record for Northwest was in 2022, but in BC as a whole this year, 2025 is actually a new record with over 10 million more. And so in the Northwest specifically, we had a increase of $88 million in expenditures. You can't really make a mine without doing a lot of mineral exploration. So what we like to do is to track the mineral exploration expenditures that have happened in the specific regions of BC. So Northwest BC, this is for the past 23 years, going back to 2002. We see this year we had just over $436 million in expenditures. And so that's actually up $88 million from 2024. And so there's more active projects this year, but there was also several advanced stage to mine evaluation stage projects that spent a large amount of money in the province. And so of this $436 million, 69% of that money was spent in the Golden Triangle. So the Golden Triangle is a large portion of the expenditures for Northwestern BC. And so one thing to note in this region is that it has the most advanced stage projects in the province, but it also has more remote projects, which ends up equating to a higher exploration cost. One of the major ways that mineral exploration expenditures are spent is through drilling. It accounts from anywhere from usually about 60 to 70% of the mineral exploration expenditures in the region. And so that's another metric that we really like to track. And as you can see here, for 2025, we had just over 457,000 meters of core drilled. And that's up 150,000 meters from the previous year. And so, again, about 67% of this drilling was implemented within the Golden Triangle. And then the northwestern total, compared to the entire province, accounts for about 49% of the BC total of drilling numbers. And if we break where this money is being spent by mineral exploration stage, we see that in the Northwest, which accounts for about 58% of the total of BC's mineral exploration expenditures for 2025, we see that we have just about 40% is spent in mine evaluation, and then about a quarter of it is spent grassroots and early stage, and about a quarter in advanced. So comparing that to the provincial average, we have just slightly more money being spent in the mine evaluation stage and slightly less in mine lease stages. That will be active mines. Pretty much a long trend with the BC average for all the other stages. And so I'll mention that this expenditure chart is an indicator for what percentage of money is spent in each stage, but it doesn't actually correlate to the number of projects within each stage. So just keep that in mind. And so if we look, it's a lot of this money is being spent in these advanced stage projects, as we could see. So, and many of those expenditures occur on proposed mines. And so a proposed mine is a mine that is in the mine evaluation stage, that is either in the environmental assessment permit application or it has already been granted it. And so Northwest BC alone has 9 proposed mines, and then 5 of them fall within the Golden Triangle. So that could be, and that's 3 different porphyry systems. You have Galore Creek, KSM, and the Kitsault. And then we have a VMS deposit, which is the SK Creek. And then we have one intrusion-related gold-silver project, which is Red Mountain, which is part of Ascot's resources. And if we dive into the Golden Triangle and kind of go more into the geologic history of it, you know that the Golden Triangle itself is a loosely defined area in northwestern BC that is runs along the edge of the Alaska Panhandle and roughly goes from about Kitsault all the way up to Iskit. And so it has a rich history of prospecting and discoveries of past producers' mines of over several different deposit styles with a number of commodities, and it has a very complex geologic history. So, over the history of the Golden Triangle, there's been over 150 different mines that have operated in the Golden Triangle since the prospectors first arrived in the late 19th century. So I've seen this firsthand as this photo here shows an old adit that was from 1897 that we discovered on the Cumberland target, which is in SK Mining's ground. And so there's been important past producers that have produced minerals from BC, such as the Grand Duke VMS, the SK Creek VMS, the Antiochs VMS, the Kitsault Porphyry, the Premier Dilworth mines, the Dolly Varden mines, and the Snip mine. And so exploration still continues at all of these different sites or around their area, and some within the same mineral tenure. And so this is another photo from Goldstorm's Electrum target. They have the historic East Gold Mine, and this portal dates back to about 1965. And so if we move to current exploration on mine sites in Northwest BC, I have a couple pictures here. One is from, the left is from, it's an automated drill that's underground at Brucejack, and then to the right here is an underground drill at the Silvertip mine, which is close to the Yukon-BC border. And then so if we go specifically within the Golden Triangle, there's the 2 active mines that have had exploration on them. And so Red Chris, which is joint venture, 30% Imperial, 70% Newmont. They did just about over 19,000 meters of drilling, and then they continue with their block cave underground operation planning and advancing their early works construction. And they're drilling at their East Ridge, which continues to produce promising intersections which have high-grade copper and gold porphyry intersects. And so at Brucejack, they did roughly about 80,000 meters of underground drilling, and that was focused on the reserve conversion, resource expansion, and then also exploration on new near mine targets. And then they also did a surface 10-year-wide stream settlement sampling program. And moving to mine development projects, we have Premier Gold, which is Ascot Resources. And so they completed the construction in 2024, and they've been they're developing their Northern Lights portal underground to start producing gold and be in operation for about 8 years. So they briefly had some operation in 2024, producing just over 3,000 ounces, 2,400 ounces of gold, but they've decided to focus on their mine development and finding their high-grade ore to continue their production. And so 2025, they did just over 15,000 meters of drilling. Here's the picture from their one of their first gold pours on site at their mill. And if we go down more towards active mineral exploration projects, we see that within northwestern BC, we had over 90 projects this year. And then at least 40 of those were within the Golden Triangle. And they range the gamut from several different deposit styles, like porphyry systems, epithermal systems, or polymetallic vein systems, etc. And so if you want to know more information about this, you can go to our overview of mining and exploration for the year, and that kind of gives a breakdown of all active projects within each region of BC for 2025. And that comes out at Roundup this year. And it's available online as well from the BCGS website. So, significant events that happened. There was quite a few, several large financings in 2025. And that's Skeena Gold financed over $230 million US. Seabridge Gold did about $100 million. And then Tudor Gold raised almost 39 million. Scotty raised 40 million. Ascot Resources financed just over 142 million. Dolly Varden raised over $62 million, and Goliath Resources did over $53 million. So that is quite a lot of money in all within the Golden Triangle. That is within 1 year. There's been several permitting milestones over the past year or two as well, with SK Creek getting a 10,000 ton bulk sample, KSM, Seabridge Gold getting their substantially started designation for their environmental assessment, and Dome Mountain also received their mine permit and started mine production in just east of Smithers. So that's not specifically in the Golden Triangle, but it is an active gold producer now, which brings more attention to the area around the Golden Triangle. There was also several resource announcements in the past couple of years. Galore Creek with copper, gold, and silver. Seabridge's Bronson Slope at their Iskut project. They got copper, gold, copper, silver. SK Creek put out a feasibility study, which I'll talk about next, with gold and silver. And they also put out a gold resource for Snip. And then Tudor Gold put out a new resource just recently for Trudy Creek, gold, silver, and copper. And Handstone Gold's Dock deposit, they put out a gold silver resource. And Scotty Gold recently put out a preliminary economic assessment with a new gold resource. So that's quite a few different mineral deposits that host valid commodities within the ground in northwest BC. And so if I dive into SK Creek for Skeena Gold and Silver, Skeena Resources, they put out a study which has an open pit mine life with a net present value of about $2 billion, with a mine life of 12 years and a 1.2 year payback period. And so the photo here is one of their high grade massive sulfide mineralization intersects from their 23 zone at SK Creek. And so the project also has underground potential. You can check their technical report if you want more information on that. Now I'll kind of go and dig into some highlighted mineral exploration projects in the Golden Triangle. This photo here is taken from Tudor Gold's Treaty Creek property, where you can see that just off to the right there, active drill. So starting just north of Stewart, we have Scotty Gold, who put out the preliminary economic assessment. They did just over 27,000 meters of drilling, putting that towards their study. Got some significant, relatively long interval high-grade gold and silver intersects. At the Dolly Varden Silver at the Kitsault project, they did over 56,000 meters of drilling, and they are producing some high-grade gold intercepts at Homestake Ridge and some high-grade silver at their Dolly Varden deposit. You can see some numbers there. And then just to the Southwest of the Kitsault Valley is the Gold Digger project, which is Goliath Resources. They had 64,000 meter program this year, which is the biggest program for BC this year. And they hit some lengthy high-grade gold intersects. Yeah, moving towards a bit further north, we have Kingfisher Metals at the Highway 37 project. They did over 7,600 meters of drilling, and they hit some good long-grade porphyry copper, gold, silver grades there at several of their targets. And Tudor Gold at Treaty Creek, they did 6,000 meters of drilling to put towards their new mineral resource. And they keep doing some high-grade gold, silver, copper intervals. And their new technical document should be out in February or March of 2026. Galore Creek Mining Corp continues working towards their pre-feasibility study on the Galore Creek project. And then south of there, Seabridge Gold has been working steadily at the Iskut project. They did 24,000 meters of drilling at the Snip North targets, and they have been hitting some long hole porphyry intervals with copper, gold, and silver. And so Seabridge also has been busy at the KSM project. They did 8,500 meters drilling, geotechnical drilling for their upcoming feasibility study. And they hit some major milestones with their construction, and they connected their Treaty Creek terminal switching station to the Northwest Power Transmission, which is now delivering power to the KSM project, which is all super interesting for the Golden Triangle because that could have influences for neighboring projects as well. And so that's pretty much all the time I have to talk about mineral exploration projects. Just want to talk briefly about the publications that the BC Geological Survey is putting out. So the mining and exploration in BC, that's the annual summary. That'll be out around the roundup time. And then geologic fieldwork, that'll come out kind of around mid-April, right around the KEG conference. And so I'd just like to take this time to acknowledge all the mineral exploration companies that have helped contribute their data to their expenditure survey. That we couldn't really do that without you, and really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to be able to put in your accurate information so we can gain knowledge about where money is being spent on what types of projects and the commodities that are being looked for in BC. And we also really like to thank all the projects that help to host the BCGS with all their field work. We always are looking for companies to help put us up at their field camps and help with our mapping studies and research. Thank you.